And you know the thing. Who else is a more patriotic American than these fine folks? I mean, other than maybe Colonel Sanders, because his chicken is tinger flicking good. Or finger sticking good. I mean, come on, man, you know the thing. They're definitely better than that Bernie Sanders guy. Can you believe I beat that guy in an election? I am Joe Biden, Bo Jiden. As the President of America, I just want to say Jim Jar are cool cats. I am Joe Biden, Bo Jiden. I mean, come on, man, you know the thing. Anyways, I gotta go. I have to go to deliver some tanks or something to that President Zelensky guy. Peace out, hooliganies.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning, whoever's morning time. Hello. I'm tired today. I had a long night last night. You like the music? Awesome. I know, I thought that the music would sound really good with what do you call it? The Joe Biden stuff. So I was like, and I've always really liked my outro song, but you guys never get to listen to it because like I cut it off before it ends because I don't want to do the Willie thing where like the whole video plays and then you still see my face at the end. So I'm always like, I got to make sure I cut this off like quick, cut the live off so it doesn't go to me. So nobody ever gets to hear the outro song. So I was like, screw it. I'm going to put the outro song in the intro because YouTube has never copyright striked or anything like that on that song, which it's from my video editor. It's like one of those like pre-made things from your video editor. So I was like, I kind of like the song. I haven't gotten in trouble for it yet. I'm going to try it. We're going to see. And so far it's working. So I kind of dig it. I like it. It's a lot calmer. It's a lot, I don't know. It's a lot calmer. Look at this today, you guys. I am having a pimple day. I've been picking at this since yesterday. I think this is like from just nerves or something, just sitting here like this constantly. So yeah, that's been fun. I've been dealing with a pimple. So good morning, Brandy. Good to see you. Good morning, Warren. Good morning, Desert Mantis. Good afternoon. Not good morning. I'm going to learn this eventually. You like the music. Okay. What's up, Rig? Your brother actually saw that UFO down here. So glad he and your nephew didn't get beamed away. Wait, there was a UFO down there? Yeah, exactly. It's a stress sit. You reserve your pimples for chocolate. I don't get pimples from eating chocolate. I just get it from stress. Ugh. Like, I don't know. Maybe when I'm sitting in meetings for too long, I sit there like this or something, and then it gets a pimple right there. I'm not sure, but it's bugging. So I didn't even try to put on any makeup today or nothing. I was like, screw it. All y'all are just going to look at my zit. I just put on a little bit of fixed my eyebrows and then put on a little bit of mascara. I was like, all right, that's all. Wait, so where was there a UFO in your area? I want to know. Warren just sent me this morning some kind of train derailment out here. There's no video about it. I went and looked for it on YouTube, but apparently about 2 hours away from me in like the Mojave Desert area, there's like a train that has like 80 cars and nobody running it. I guess the people had to jump off. So it's like a runaway train right now, and it finally derailed and is stopped. But there's like 80 cars and the people that were running the train had to jump off of it. So it's like literally like a runaway train out here in California right now. So, but it thankfully, it's like out in the Mojave Desert area. So there's literally nobody around. Like it's just all desert. I think you might be able to find like, I was looking up the town this morning on Google, or I mean, not on Google, on YouTube. And I realized that that town, what the fuck is the town's name? That town has ghost towns there. So it's like a ghost town place. Kelso, California. That's what it's called, Kelso, California. So I'm pretty sure it's like over by Calico, California, like all those ghost town areas. Because there's the videos on YouTube of Kelso is all ghost town stuff. So, and usually the Mojave Desert is full of like the old ghost town mining towns that nobody really lives in anymore. It's all touristy stuff. So thankfully where that train derailed, there's not really like a town or anything by it. It's just mostly just straight up just desert. Like it's national wildlife preservation areas, like Joshua Tree preservation areas. So I'm hoping nobody's, or like everything's okay and all of that. And thank goodness it's not in a town or anything. But that shit was crazy. I saw that this morning. Man, poor California. We got like snow, mudslides, rain, flooding, tornadoes. Now we got a runaway train. Like California's just turning into Florida. That's all, with natural disasters. I mean, we have our, probably California has like an equal number of crazy people like Florida does, but we're definitely winning on the natural disaster scale right now. Whoop, whoop. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, the train derailment just happened. So that's why I'm probably not finding anything about it yet, because I've been trying to figure out like anybody posting videos up yet. But no, looks like news hasn't even made it yet. Rick lives in Texas. Okay, that's where you saw a UFO. Lucky. So lucky. I want to see a UFO. I haven't seen any of that kind of weird alien stuff since I was a kid living out in my old town. I saw an article about it on Raw Story. Yeah, I saw oh, what's up, hot R-word chicks. I can't say it. I'm so mean. Said it was carrying iron ore, but I don't know about the hazardous materials. Okay. So it's carrying iron ore. I didn't know what it was carrying. It, like I said, the article that you sent me, that's all I was able to read about it. There's nothing on it so far yet. I mean, I was like, all right, I'm going to talk about it on the show today. That's kind of cool. And there's nothing on it. Just that one post that you sent me, and that's it. That's all we've got so far. So, and whoever that person is, I don't even know who they are. That I just started following them this morning. Raw's alerts on Twitter. I've never even heard of them, but they have like 416,000 followers, so they must be doing something. But yeah, it says multiple agencies are responding to a runaway train carrying 180 cars heading 80 miles an hour with no one in it. Currently, numerous law enforcement, hazmat teams, and other agencies are responding to a runaway train carrying 180 train cars heading 80 miles an hour with no one in it, as crews had to jump off. It was first reported in Baker heading towards Barstow, but the train has crashed and derailed in Kelso, California. Police are confirming multiple train cars have been derailed and damaged. So it was first reported in Baker heading towards Barstow. So it was coming from the Vegas area heading towards my area, I guess you would say. Baker has a little bit of people there. Barstow is definitely populated. So thankfully it derailed in between the two places. Baker is very popular out here. I don't know if you guys know about it, but there's it's like a liquor store or something, like a gas station type place, liquor store thing out in Baker. That is the number one place where people have won the most lottery tickets, like the lottery prizes. That there's a store there that a lot of people go there just for lottery tickets because a lot of people have won there. Like that place is just loaded. It looks like a liquor store. It's just right where the cash register is. It's like tons of scratchers and lottery tickets, and it's just covered in lottery tickets. That place is just huge. So that's a really popular area, Baker is. And then Barstow is obviously, it's a normal town. There's a lot of people there. And there is a train that goes in between there. That's pretty much our main train to get everything that we need from other places is like right there. So yeah, I'm happy that it crashed in between the two, because Baker and Barstow definitely have people living there, their towns. Baker, not so much. Barstow definitely has a lot of people living there, but Baker kind of a little bit less, but there is people living there. So it's really crazy. And then the Twitter comments, man, everybody's like posting up this movie called Unstoppable, and it's about a train. I have no idea. I've never seen it before, but the shit is hilarious. So yeah, that was crazy. I wish I could show you guys, but I'm just seeing it on Twitter, and that's it. Just like the one post, and that's all that there is. So still kind of new news. We don't know anything that's going on, but hey, I brought you breaking news before anyone else. Whoop, whoop. Look at me. I'm like a real news reporter today. No, I'm not going to say it. R-word chicks. I can't. I grew up with disabled people and stuff, and my mom was like helped raise disabled people, and I grew up with a lot of them. And so saying that word is really hurtful to me. I can't say it. So I'll just call you the hot R-word chick. Said it was carrying iron ore, but I don't know about hazard materials. Okay, train derailment last night in North Dakota. I learned about it from a YouTube video. It contained hazardous materials. Yeah. Do you see this weekend too with the tornado in Mississippi? Like it completely took out an entire town. It was horrible. I was like, oh my God. I'm gonna bring up a video about it, because there's this one woman who owned a building out there. And they went into their bunker, which was like this metal box right in the middle of the building, not underground. It was above ground, but it was like this metal box right in the middle of the building. And all that was left when she was getting interviewed, they panned it over when they were interviewing her, because her and some friends were in that box. And while they were interviewing her, they panned it over to the box, and the entire fucking store is just flattened. There is nothing there. And all you see is this square metal box in the middle of this disaster. Like this box just stayed and lasted during this disaster. It was nuts to see that poor lady and those poor people, man. Oh, it's horrible what the tornado is doing out there. So what's up, Les Bones? Good to see you. Or Beast Bones. What's up, kid?
Where do you guys keep your towels?
The ones that are hanging up you can use.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right. And then let's see what we got. You went through Baker when you moved to California 20 years ago. Isn't the world's largest thermometer? Yes, it is. It's ridiculous. There's some ridiculous stuff there. Yeah, the world's largest thermometer is definitely there. Yes. I look at it as the place where everybody goes and buys their lottery tickets. Because everybody does buy their lottery tickets there. It's nuts. It's like you guys are pretty much making it the place to win your lottery tickets, because so many people of you are buying the lottery tickets there. So you're kind of doing like a self-fulfilling prophecy, but whatever. You know how people are, especially lottery people. They're like, oh, well, I won $10,000 there once off a scratcher. So I'm just going to keep going back to the same place over and over and over again. And that's what they do. So we have people like out in Roseman and Mojave, California, driving like an hour away just to go to that place, just to go to Baker to get those kind of tickets. So yeah, it's nuts out there. People are crazy with their lottery tickets. Let's see. Derailed train. Yeah, there's no video yet. I tried to look, but I couldn't find anything. So you just reported that, didn't you? Yeah, the runaway train. Yeah, I just saw it. Like I said, I'm trying to find things on the internet for it, but there's only that one Twitter post that I've seen so far. So I don't even think the news has gotten there yet. Good to see you, Jimmy Jim Jims. Yeah, exactly. I can try. I mean, I am kind of curious to see if anyone is there yet, because this is huge. I would figure that this would be Also, this guy we know named Mike Norman went on Fox this morning to talk about MMT, and I kind of wanted to talk about that too, but I don't think that's going to be ready until later on today when Fox decides to put it out. What was the place called again? God damn. I'm horrible with places. Kelso. That's right. Kelso, California. Train derail. All right. So I'm going to bring this up so y'all can see it with me, because we'll just find it together. You found something, Brandy? Can you send that to me on something else like Slack or either Slack or Twitter? So I can't pull it up from here. Look at SB. Oh yeah, SB County Fire Twitter. I didn't even think about the San Bernardino County Fire Twitter, because see this. Wait, why is my face not on here? That's so weird. Hold on. There we go. I've got like this new setup thing. I was trying to do a new layout and it's just not, it's not working. Let's see. It's supposed to do that. That's what it's supposed to do. There we go. But that looks like boo-boo. Oh, well. So far today, this is what it's, see, it's like 3 months ago, 1 month ago, 5 days ago. So I'm going to try to filter it within the last hour. No results. Okay, so we'll go to Twitter and look up the San Bernardino County Fire. SB County Fire. All right, so here we go. They're talking about it here. So Kelso en route to railcar incident near Baker Road. Reported multi-car derailment. All cargo, no passengers. Engine and hazmat companies responded. They're on scene. Numerous derailed cars. Iron ore. No active fire. No injuries. County hazmat continuing. No current threat to the area. Yeah, see, it's just nothing. It's just all desert out there. But look at that. Holy shit, you guys. Look at the train, the rail right here on the train isn't even like, it's just over, and then everything just got, like the entire ground got turned over right here. That's insane. 50 cars derailed, including 2 locomotives, minor fuel leak being addressed, no current threat to public or environment. Union Pacific is lead agency and point of contact for media. Damn. Like the whole ground got turned up right here. That's wild. Yeah, because you could see the train. Okay, so you could see the train tracks right here. So it looks like it did like a little turn right here. It's supposed to be like a turn. And it just didn't make the turn. That's, I mean, but it just goes to show how old our rails are. Because, I mean, I used to live by a railroad track out, not in this area specifically, but in Roseman, and it looks like this. And these, man, not only do the the railroads actually look old as shit, but, you know, we used to walk on them all the time. They didn't look very sustainable. Plus, you know, we would do bad stuff like put little coins on there and then wait for the train to go by. You know, the 90s. So, what's up? Oh, thanks for stopping by, Marcus. Good to see you. Yeah, Rick, isn't that crazy? It just looks like the whole area just got completely turned up. Oh, you guys can't even see I hate how they don't, like, for a minute they'll show the cursor and then sometimes it won't. So, you know. Will it show my cursor now? No, of course not. What about now? Show my cursor now? No, of course not. Of course not. So yeah. But you can kind of see where it does like a little left turn on like the right or the left of the screen right there. So it does like a little S-shaped turn on the railroads. Sorry, you guys can't see my cursor. I was like showing it thinking you guys could see it. But yeah, you can see definitely where it messed up, and it's totally this, I mean, the right railroad track isn't even straight lined with the other one. So yeah, for sure. Thanks for showing the love, Marcus. I really appreciate you. You're awesome. Yeah, that is crazy. So yeah, it looks like thanks for the picture too, and showing that. I was trying to see if MSN.com train derails. Okay, the one that Brandy was sending. So I'll go over to Google and look up MSN train derail. 1 hour ago. Here we go. Train with no passengers derail in San Bernardino. Hazmat crew responding. Train carrying cargo. Fire derailed. Fire engines and a hazard material team are responding. More details. So that's what we just read from the SB County fire. One Twitter who reported the derailment 15 minutes before the fire department described it as a runaway train. San Bernardino authorities could not be reached immediately to confirm the train was a runaway. So this girl right here, runaway train from Baker heading towards Barstow, 80 miles an hour with no one in it, 180 cars. Train has derailed 3 miles west of Kelso. Heard the crew jumped off, and it was a runaway for over an hour. And that's from Fire Photo Girl. The story originally appeared in the Los Angeles Times. Let's see. LA Times isn't going to let me read it. Come on now. Yeah, right. Train with no passengers derailed. Carrying iron ore, raw materials used to make iron, derailed near Kelso. Fire engines and hazardous material teams are responding. The fire department confirmed around 11:20 a.m. that the fire was out and there was no injuries and no active threat to the area. So that was even before I freaking woke up this morning. It did derail on its, and it is on fire, carrying 180 cars of iron ore, said a man. Another fire employee said there was a fire under the first locomotive. The department was sending water tenders to the scene to help battle the blaze. But soon after the reports of fire, law enforcement at the scene confirmed there was no longer a fire, and many of the fire trucks called to the scene were sent to other assignments. The San Bernardino Fire Protection District said it was on scene with representatives from Union Pacific Railroad Company. So this is the railroad company. This time is Union Pacific. Why is it not scrolling down? Is it because it's a different thing? Oh, it might be. Here we go. Yeah, so this railroad company is Union Pacific. They told the Times that the southbound train crashed around 8:30 a.m. Pacific time with 55 cars and 2 locomotives derailing. The train was in the Mojave National Preserve east of Barstow. See, like I said, it's the National Preserve. Like there's nothing out there, so at least nobody in the general vicinity. If there was stuff there in the air, like chemicals in the air, at least there's nobody in the general vicinity in that area. The crew was not injured. The derailed cars were loaded with iron ore, which spilled. Part of the steel making process, not hazardous. Further, there were no hazardous materials on the train. The incident is under investigation. South did not address whether the incident was a result of a runaway train, saying we are still investigating what led up to the incident. I love how they're like, oh, it's not a runaway train. Dude, the train had nobody in it. It's a runaway train. If the people that were running the train jumped off because they couldn't control it anymore, it's a runaway train. I hate how they just downplay everything. They're like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that big of a deal. Like, bro, come on. Start taking accountability somewhere, just anywhere, just a little. Like, even if nobody's hurt, even if the rail itself was like bad and it's not your fault because you're the train guy and maybe the railroads are really bad and infrastructure needs to be updated. Maybe it's not your fault this time around. Just take a little bit of accountability, though. Just a little. Just say that it was a runaway train. Like, you don't even have to say that it was anything bad. Like, you don't even have to say it's your fault. Just say it was a runaway train, just so people can be like, okay. But you're just even going to take that down to make it not as bad. It's crazy. One Twitter user who reported the derailment 15 minutes before the fire department described a runaway train. San Bernardino authorities could not be reached immediately to confirm if the train was a runaway. Why do you need San Bernardino authorities to let you know if it was a runaway train? If this girl saw it and people saw it, that there was nobody driving and it had nobody driving the vehicle and it was just going that fast and then it derailed, it's a runaway train. Like, come on, Heard the crew jump off, and it was runaway for over an hour. There we go. Oh man, I swear, people, they just don't, like, people say something and they're like, this is what it is, and then the authorities are like, no, we have to second guess it. You don't know that. You have let us figure out what we're going to tell you what it is, so you all can take what we tell you it is. That's exactly what they're trying to do. That's nuts. So yeah, there's the runaway train. 55 out of 100 cars. Yeah, that's nuts. That's absolutely insane. Let's see. What do I got today? I know my title is what is it? Anna Kasperian Says What is my title today. And I do want to talk about the Anna tweet thing, just because, other people are talking about it, and it just seems like something. Plus, I was, talking with someone last night, and I figured I would help her get kind of like her perspective out as well with the whole Anna thing, which it kind of helped me see from like all different perspectives. So yeah, I also got this like Candace Owens video. Oh, we could do France. Let's do France. Oh, wait, no. We were going to talk about the tornado first. So yeah, Mississippi had a tornado. And I wanted to show you guys the stuff that's been going on out there with that. Shit, you guys, I'm running low on stuff to talk about. I might get off early today because I'm on Warren's show today. I'm actually getting interviewed on Warren's show today. So I'm excited. He's going to interview me about the storm that we had and going on the Kim Iverson show, being interviewed for the storm on that. It's so funny too. Like the one time I actually go viral, it's because there's a natural disaster. Not any of the work I've done. It's a natural disaster that makes me go viral. That's my life. Welcome to my world. So he wants to interview me on that and then talk about this show, which I'm super nervous. So yeah. I'm going to be on Warren's show today, later on at like 5 p.m. Pacific. His like, what is it called? Like your little interview show that you do on Mondays. So yay. You want to hear more from that menstruating person? Cue Soul Asylum song. Yeah, we showed a video from Mama Dr. Jones explaining when and how the terminology is used. Okay. Yeah, let me play this this, what is it called? Brandy, have you guys like clipped it up into a smaller section yet? Do you have like a timestamp of where you talk about that? Because I definitely want to get into the nitty gritty of a lot of stuff that's going on with that situation, but I want to get prepared first for like, give me like 10 more minutes. Let's do this video that I want to do first. And definitely want to talk about that thing. And then I want to see what you guys were talking about too. Maybe I'll skim through it while this video is playing. It's called My Little Show I Do, or My Little Interview Show I Do on Mondays. There we go. Extra Bully Live. There we go. We got to find like a cool little like a nifty little interview like saying for it. Because you say like, what is it called? Extra Bully Live. Oh, no, I guess you can get away with it. Yeah, that works. I'm not trying to tell you what to do with your own fucking show. What am I doing, Jimmy? Shut up. Anyways. Extra Bully Live. That's where I'm going to be on today. Interview. Today, 5 p.m. I'm going to be there. That's what I'm doing. She hasn't clipped it. It was at the beginning. Okay. So I want to show this interview that this new layout. See, look at this layout. It just like completely cuts me out, Warren. I fucked up. I don't know what I did. I don't know what I did with these layouts. This new layout thing on StreamYard is nuts. And I'm trying to understand it. There we go. Okay. So here is the tornado in Mississippi that I was telling you guys about earlier. This one lady got interviewed and you could just see the box that these people were staying in while everything was just ripped up around them. It was crazy. Runaway Train is a nice John Voight, Eric Roberts reference too. Runaway Train is a good 90s song. I don't know who that's by. But it see, that's so funny that I didn't even think about that. So when me and my sister were growing up, there was that song, which was my favorite song. The Runaway Train song was my favorite song. And then the Bumblebee song was my sister's favorite song. That all I can say is that my life is really blind, with the little bumblebee girl. That was my sister's favorite song. And then mine was the Runaway Train. I totally forgot about that. You guys just like opened up like some memory in my head of my past right now with the Runaway Train. Holy crap. Now I'm going to listen to that song like 10 times today because my ADHD. Okay, so here is the Mississippi tornado. This shit's crazy. Soul Asylum was Runaway Train. Okay. Man, that's what I thought when you said soul, when somebody said Soul Asylum, I think, in here, right? No, John Boy, Eric Roberts. Okay, so I thought I saw Soul Asylum. Yeah, Runaway Train is from Soul Asylum. You are correct. Bumblebee song is called No Rain by Blind Melon. Yes, that's the Bumblebee song. I loved that. My sister loved that song more than I loved that song. I loved Runaway Train. I don't know why I was like 7 years old running around singing that song, but it was a good song. Okay, tornado, you guys. Distractions.
Burn and Rolling Fork, Mississippi, an area that was hard hit by just Friday night's devastating storms.
Those are my
Katie,
college
what's
radio
the
DJ
sense
years.
there
Hell
with the
yeah. You
residents as
and
see a lot of
Morin.
debris still scattered behind you?
Kiana, it's a really hard day for a lot of people, and hearing stories about that night, it's absolutely heartbreaking and it's hard to hear. Tracy is with us now. She was here in what used to be your business that night. You guys have already been able to clear it out, but tell me about what that night was like for you.
Well, we knew we were going to have some storms. We just didn't know it would be this bad. Throughout the day, people were coming in and they would say, well, it looks like it's going to go north of us. It looks like we'll be okay. And some of them said, we looked at the news. We'll get some rain. It'll be heavy rain and some winds. We'll be okay. And so we went on about our day and our night as usual. So we were working. We had customers in. Everybody was running around doing their thing. And 8:05, I got 2 messages from my daughter and my sister saying, "Get to safety. There's a tornado down." And then one of my cashiers came to me running and said, "My mom is on the phone and she said there's a tornado." And at that moment, the lights flickered and I just hollered, "Cooler." And so there were 9 of us employees, 9 of us in all. And my husband opened the door when I said cooler and he started shoving us all in. And when he got in, the door got away from him. Somehow he was able to get a hold of the door. And just as he was closing the door, he looked up and he said, "I see the sky." And that just let us know that the roof was gone and this was more serious than we could have imagined. So the door closed and we're in there and we're squeezed tight and we're crying and screaming and praying and the building's just moving. And then all of a sudden it stops and I had phone service, so I was calling 911 and trying to get everybody's loved ones to see if they were okay. And my husband was trying to get the door open and it wouldn't open. And it seemed like nobody was coming. But one of the customers that had been in, he had broken his arm somehow, but he heard us screaming and he got out of where he was and came and moved everything from the door and he got us out.
I can't even imagine what it's like to relive this for you. And my heart is absolutely broken for you talking through this. I want to show you guys the cooler that they were in that night. It's right over here. and it was quite small when you were in there, but you all survived. And when
Tell me that shit is not straight out of a fucking movie, dudes. Like, that is insane to me. There is nothing around this cooler. It's just this big metal box in the middle of all this disaster. Dude, when she said, like, her husband, when he was trying to close the door, he looked up and said he saw the sky. Man, it just reminded me of the movie Twister. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that 90s, speaking of 90s, the 90s movie Twister. Man, that shit reminds me of that so much. Like, it just brought back that childhood fear of that movie, of watching it again. Like, oh shit, this shit could be real. That's terrifying right here. I could not. Yeah, great movie. Fucking insane. That's exactly what this makes me think of, like, is something that, like, the movie Twister, you know, well, they came out with a Twister too, but it was really horrible. If like they remade Twister, they should base it off of, like, this situation right here, because that is insane.
when you stepped out that night, I know you know a lot of the people in this community here. Tell me what used to be here and what you know
Right.
about the ones
Safest
who live here.
place. You're
So
correct.
we stepped out to the back of the building, which the building was gone, but we stepped out through what would have been the back door, and our vehicles were totaled, and that's what we saw first. But then when we looked up, we just saw what used to be 2 motel buildings and 35 or more trailer houses were all gone. They were all flattened. And all we think about was the children, the families. The children come here every day before they catch the bus, and they wait in the pool room, and we can talk and we can snack and we can do all these things. And now I'm in a position where I can't help them, and I can't see enough to find anybody, or we just want to know where they are.
Well, we're hoping that we're going to get more information about that, and we're just so heartbroken for you thinking about all this, that you were almost like a mom to these kids waiting for the school bus. I know that that's something that they're waiting on information when it comes to missing people, and hopefully that information will come to us sooner than
Yo, Marcus, could you imagine? Like, is that true? Like, do the kids, like, you know, in school, like 6th grade or whatever, you know how, like, they have, I don't know, sex education sections during junior high or high school? Like, do they have, like, in those areas, do they make you watch Twister? Like, you know, you spend a week learning about tornadoes and stuff. That would be nuts to me. I couldn't even imagine. Dude, like, going through my own natural disaster out here, like the whole, you know, being buried in snow for 2 weeks, not knowing how my neighbors are, you know, all that. Like, I feel that for her, you know, not being able to do anything because you can't even help yourself, but feeling so bad and worrying so much about people in the other areas, you know. Like, my own kid was stuck at her friend's house for the 2 weeks that we were in the snow, stuck in the snow, and that's all I did every day, was just worry about her. Like, I don't know how safe their roof is. I don't know how safe their heaters are. You know, I don't know if they have over at the house, if they have enough, you know, food for her. Every day I was just so worried of, like, is my kid gonna make it through today? Is the roof on that house gonna collapse and they're all gonna die, and my kid, you know, and I can't even get out of my own house to go protect my kid and save my kid. So, you know, just seeing and hearing everything that she has to say, like, I totally, oh man, going, like I've been saying for the last couple weeks, going through a natural disaster, it gives you a whole different feeling and emotions of when you go, even something small like I did. Going through that gives you just a whole new set of emotions that you never knew that you had, a whole new area of empathy that you never knew that you had. You really don't understand. Like, it's really hard to comprehend the seriousness and the horribleness that people are going through in that situation unless you're in it. And man, I feel so bad for this lady, just being that, you know, the area where kids go and hang out after school and before school. And now, you know, seeing her that entire town wrecked, like, for one, she'll, it's going to be a long time before she's ever going to have those kids back at that house or at that place again, for one. And for two, it's probably not even going to be all the kids, because how many people they said have passed away since that storm. I think it was like in the double digits. So
later,
yeah.
but
I couldn't imagine though going to school and then the 1 week they're like, it's tornado week, and you're just like, oh, this is what we have to do. It's tornado week in school. Like, that's crazy to me. But I guess it wouldn't be too much off, because like when in high school here we have earthquake drills. So, and I'm pretty sure, down the Bible Belt in America they don't have earthquake drills, but we do out here in California. So I guess it would be like a tornado drills for kids. So that would explain it for sure. You've experienced a few yourself. I've never experienced a tornado, like a legit tornado. I mean, I'm from California, so we have like the tunnels or whatever, the big tunnel things. Especially being out in like the high desert, you get a lot of those like little mini tornadoes. They don't do too much. I've always tried to like run into them to see if I can get lifted up in the air, but you can't. It's not strong enough out here. But we did recently, LA did have a tornado where it lifted off like a bunch of roofs off of a building. I think like 15 buildings were red tagged in East Los Angeles because of a tornado. So California's starting to get some tornadoes though. That shit's terrifying. It's so scary. I think tornadoes were like one of my first fears as a child. Just watching the movie Twister as a kid, you're like, what is that? And does that really happen? Like, because you're a kid, you don't realize that natural disasters are a thing. You don't think that like Mother Nature is out to, kill people. So as a kid, you see that movie and you're like, wait, humans don't do this stuff? Like nature's scary, man. It's wild. All right, let's finish watching this.
Heartbreaking stories, guys, out of this town. And even I've met you a half hour ago.
Mhm.
I have to tell you, since I've met Tracy, I've seen, were they your friends, people that you knew coming
Tornado
over,
and fire
embracing
drills?
you? I mean,
Okay,
people
that
are
makes
just
sense.
giving each other love right
You
now.
were in Iowa with your girlfriend at the time back in 2001. We went to a drive-in movie and saw Twister. They had to cut the movie short because off in the distance there was a tornado. Yo, there's like a movie playing during the Twister movie. It's like they're like in the hotel, and there's like this like auto shop or something like towards the end of the movie, and that's when the F5 is like coming in, and there's a movie playing. It's like a drive-in movie theater, and the like people in there were in the cars didn't even realize that like the main character was running out to cars like, get out, go get out, there's a tornado coming. And all of a sudden you see this tornado just rip through the big screen at the drive-in movie theater in the movie. So that would be terrifying. Could you imagine like that scene's going on? While that scene's going on, it's just like right as soon as the tornado hit the movie screen, like your screen shuts off and they're like, sorry, we have to cut it off because of tornado. And you're like, well, where's the fucking tornado? Because in the movie it was just right here. So yo, that would be crazy. That would be insane. Straight line winds are bad too. Instead of a funnel cloud, it's all concentrated wind blowing in one direction with the same kind of damage. Been through one of those too. Scary. Oh, funnel cloud. Yeah, see, I don't even know what they're called, like wind tunnels out here, I think. Something like that. I think they're called wind tunnels. Basically, everyone has a basement or a shelter in the cities. The trailers or rural areas typically get creamed. Yeah, that's what I feel really bad for, is the trailer parks and stuff. Because I have my friend Sally lives in Alabama, but she's so cool about it. Whenever there's a tornado, we'll be playing video games, and she's like, "Oh yeah, we're in a tornado warning right now, a tornado watch." I'm just like, why are you not in your bunker right now? She told me, she's like, if we listen to every single time there's a tornado warning, we would she said we'd practically live in our bunker. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. You can't like always live in fear of a tornado when they're always around, and you don't always have the chance of it hitting you, even though there is always a chance of it hitting you. You can't always live in fear. It's kind of like us in California with the earthquakes. We don't live in fear of the earthquakes. We know that they're going to happen, and we prepare for it, but people live on the fault line. So yeah, it makes sense. Totally. The Shining was playing in the movie. Yeah. That's right. You're very, very right. Cause it was the two little girls down the hallway and shit. Oh, that movie. I still haven't seen that movie. I still have to see that movie after I got snowed in for 2 weeks. Don't remember which movie. Was it The Wizard of Oz? Yeah, Brandy is right in the alleyway or in Tornado Alley too. Yeah. Yeah. It was The Shining. Yeah. LA tornadoes were near your job about 6. Oh yeah, that's right. You're down in LA. Oh, that was crazy to watch that too. It was so funny to see like Los Angeles people be like, "Oh my God, the roof is coming off. Oh my God, it's a tornado." Seeing like people that never seen a tornado before actually see a tornado for the first time. That shit was funny. I'm glad nobody got hurt too. So that was, whew. You got to like talk about that because that would be cool. Like talk about it on your show of like what you experienced over there because that would be insane. Yeah, exactly. Trailer parks are basically buffets for tornadoes, for sure. Earthquakes are what scare the hell out of me. Yes. See, that's the thing is like all the when they talk about the big earthquakes that happened out here, like the Northridge earthquake and then the one before that, the two big ones in the 90s. I slept through them. I was like really young. I was, I don't know, like 9 years old, 8, 7, somewhere around there. So I slept through the whole thing. So I don't even remember a lot of earthquakes. Like the ones that I've actually felt are just like little jolts and stuff. So I haven't even really felt like a big earthquake. I just woke up to my mom like running down the hall screaming, "Everybody out of the house, is an earthquake." And I'm like, I don't feel anything. I just woke up. What are you talking about? So I can't, I haven't really experienced it yet, but they do seem scary. Like I remember watching like the bridges, the freeway bridges collapsed on the news and stuff. And that was what was really scary. So I always told myself, like, I guess I kind of do live in fear of the tornado. I mean, not tornado, of earthquakes. Cause I do always stay to the east of the San Andreas Fault. I will never live on the west of the San Andreas Fault just because there's always been like this rumor that goes around in California. It's like this, I don't know, old wives' tale or something in California that when the big earthquake happens, that anything on the west side of the San Andreas Fault is just going to fall into the ocean, and we're all going to have, us here on the east side of the San Andreas Fault is going to have beachfront property, and our our property is going to our property value is going to increase. That's what they always say, at least. That's like, the running joke of it. Just stay on the east side of the San Andreas Fault and you'll be fine. So if you need an ease into The Shining, watch Ready Player One first. Okay. The earth under your feet is the thing you fear. Unless you're up in an aircraft, there's nothing you can do. That's true. Oh God, that is so true. I don't like airplanes at all. You had a small earthquake because of fracking. Yeah, I guess you guys will probably start getting some earthquakes because of the oil drilling that they're doing out there. Because, I mean, if you think about it, these hard ass rocks are like rubbing against each other, like moving, always constantly moving, and having all of the oil in there is kind of like a lubricant for it, so it can move smoother. And if you start draining all that lubricant out, you're like rubbing two rocks together back and forth. Eventually those rocks are just gonna start breaking and cracking away and making movement because they don't have that like lubricant in between it to help it move. So yeah, with the fracking that's going on out there, I'm pretty damn sure you guys are going to be having some earthquakes because it's not nice what they're doing to your guys' lands out there, for sure. The Bible Belt is definitely still colonizing. So the New Madrid fault line is near you. Ooh, Brandy, be careful. Oh, natural gas fracking. Jesus Christ. I couldn't. But we've been battling out here like the offshore oil drilling, the oceans and stuff, man. They're just like the coral reefs are dying out here, and it's just so sad. All right, let's finish watching this.
This is just the place in the community to go to, and not just to eat, but if you're hurting or if you're happy and they want to share their news, this is where they come. And I've done this for 16 years, and this wasn't home to me, but they welcomed me with open arms 16 years ago, and they've been my family ever since. And we just want to try and get it back.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. This is Tracy, the owner of Chuck's Dairy Bar. It used to be right here. We got here this morning, and her husband, their friends, they've been able to clear the debris, but hopefully we'll be able to start over at some point. Yeah.
Katie, thank you so much.
That's right, Warren. Today on Disaster TV with Jimmy Sunderland. I swear, if there's anything you can that you can expect me to find in this world for you guys every day is a natural disaster, because that just scares me. They all scare me. It's wild to me because they're natural disasters. It's not something humans are doing. Like we expect, like, violence, human violence, because it's just every day there's human violence. I friggin' threatened to beat Les Bones up yesterday because he keeps saying that I like Limp Bizkit. So violence is violence. It's when it's the natural stuff where I'm just like, oh, that's crazy. That's so awesome. I love it. I mean, it's not awesome, but you know what I mean. I'm just going to keep sticking my foot in my mouth constantly. Let's see if I stop the screen. What's it going to do? Oh, look at that. It changed correctly. Oh, these new layouts on StreamYard are so insane. And I'm seriously trying to get it going, but I'm learning as I go right now. I can't wait for StreamYard to do is like how I had myself down at the bottom this time with the video like this. I want to be able to put myself at a corner, put the video like from here to over here, and then have your guys's comment section. So I want StreamYard to start putting the comment section up on the screen too. That would be awesome. And then I would be happy with StreamYard forever. You've allowed me to put on my own my own custom layouts. I'm happy. Now when people watch, it doesn't have to look like StreamYard, because you could tell StreamYard, what it looks like when everyone does it. But now it has its own custom layout. I'm a happy camper. Just add the comment section onto the screen, and then I'm done. I would buy StreamYard forever if it just did that. But no, it doesn't want to do that for me. What else do I have for natural disasters? I don't have any more natural disasters. Now we're getting into people stuff. We want to watch France protest. So I was watching, who was I watching it with yesterday? Willie. We were watching was it the France? Yeah, because I thought that, I swear that they had passed that thing and he didn't get the vote of no confidence. Macron is still in office, all of that. But as soon as like all of that protest started happening, after that, it was just like quiet. There was nothing about it. Let's see if there's anything uploaded today. French MP explains protest in English. Macron holds a crisis. Here, I'm just going to bring it up because I hate looking at things without you guys checking it out with me. All right, so this is what I found. France riots 2023, and then I put a filter up for today. So 9 hours ago, French MP explains protest. Macron holds crisis meeting as more France protest looms. France strikes, violent clashes, fires, and tear gas. Macron's vision. Dueling protests in Israel. Supporters of Israel's proposed judicial reform holds a rally alongside opponents of the plan after Prime Minister Netanyahu said something. Oh, we'll listen to this one.
Here we are doing a little apéro, which means we are eating chips and drinking beers. And this is a small meeting to contest the reform of Emmanuel Macron, the project of law of Emmanuel Macron about the age of retirement. So people are just going here to contest the politics of Emmanuel Macron.
We just saw
You still
earlier,
hate Macron? Okay,
about
good.
an hour ago, there was
Good.
someone with a tear gas mask in their possession, and the police tried to arrest them. Is that true?
Yeah, it's true. But in the end, the guy could go without any problem because it's not illegal to have.
Wait, Sherry, the floods on the East Coast? Yeah, let's watch this and let me look it. I'll look it up for you.
And so I went there to talk with the policeman, and it was good and it was calm, so it was okay in the end.
Do you think the police are using reasonable force during these protests?
No, not at all. At this very moment, yes, but in the global protest that we had during the earlier days, sorry, I think not, because this is really violent. We have a lot of violence in France. The police is really, really, really harsh with people. They're beating people. They're using gas against people. So no, it's really violent, and I send a message to people watching us abroad to support us, to help us, to say to Emmanuel Macron that this is not normal. This is not a normal situation, and that other people abroad, we need them to say it's violent, because this is helping the French people to be safe, because it's not safe anymore to protest in France.
The way that it's coming across in British media is that the protesters are the aggressors. Would you say that it was the opposite?
Yeah, we are just defending our rights, actually, because we don't want there is not any person in France who wants to work to.
Thank you. You were telling me that you're joking, because I'm over here on YouTube looking up East Coast flooding right now, and all I'm seeing is California flooding. I'm like, does YouTube hate me right now? Is YouTube not wanting me to see the East Coast? It's only wanting to show me the West Coast flooding? Okay, so you were joking. Thank you, Sherry. Thanks. You just totally showed everybody that I am extremely gullible. You'll probably be so sooner or later. I'm over here like looking through Google, like, where the hell is East Coast flooding at? Where is it? Where the fuck is it? Paris police must have finally taken that Mossad training course. Yeah, they're being violent as shit, but you know, France isn't. No, you're good, Sherry. I love you. France is awesome though. They're gonna continue to keep doing it. I saw they were making like using trash can lids and suitcase one like half of a suitcase as shields. So they're doing awesome. They're definitely not gonna give up. Jesus Christ, that was my cat. I guess from what I heard is we are supposed to have bad spring for severe storms. Ryan Hall's team is who I watch the most on YouTube. Okay. YouTube doesn't want you to see anything that's outside of their approved algorithm created by Skynet, right?
2 more years. No one. It's like 93% of the people working don't want to work too much years. 2 more years, sorry. So this is not normal. This is not a democracy if the will of the people is not heard, not respected. So the violent are not the people that are protesting to defend their rights. The violent are the people who are using violence against the people's rights.
I mean, the other day on Thursday, people were arrested, people were given €400 fines, but they're still out again tonight. Do you think that shows the strength of feeling that people have towards these reforms?
Yeah, partly, but yeah, they're using the money to make people stop protesting, and this is not stopping people, because really it's like either we win, either we lose. If we win, we can gain more, we can obtain more, and if we lose, this will be over, and we know that Emmanuel Macron will be harder and harder with the French people. So this is a moment when we need to stop him, and we need to stop his violence also. And we are demanding the dissolution of some part of the police, which is really violence. They're called the Bravem in France. They are really violent. They're on motos, and they come and they just beat you, and that's it. Okay.
Yeah.
So
they've got American
exist
police
in a democratic country. This is not normal. People have the right to protest. They have the right to not agree with the French president. This is what a democracy is about. And so we will continue until Macron stops his law.
In the UK, our parliament is actually passing a law to make it illegal to protest or to strike. I mean, what would you say to the people of the UK? Should they be concerned about that?
Yeah, of course. The first word I want to say is support, a word of support. And I want to say to the British people, protest against this law. We are in a moment, in Europe when the people are rising. They are like raising their head, and they're saying no.
Yeah, we got custom layouts now, Ed. That's why I've got my screen down here at the bottom, and the main TV thing is like humongous instead of that. That is what normal, StreamYard is. But I made this one this morning. Yeah, I made that. They're just layouts. Yeah. That's why I've said I can't wait for them to add, because you can only add one media thing to each layout. So this is once you put a media thing in there, like a website or, a YouTube video or something, this is however you set it up is how it looks like this. I can make it smaller, bigger, whatever, move it around. Everything's, like this picture, my box, and the video box is all interchangeable and movable and stuff. I can't wait for them to add like a comment section box. So they take the comment section that's on the side here in StreamYard and let you add it into the video itself. I can't wait for that. That's going to be the next step. But this is cool. This is nice little update from StreamYard. I'm happy. I'm temporarily happy.
To that sort of thing.
At least I don't have to look like that anymore. That shit drives me nuts because that's so StreamYard right there. I like this. It gives it more of like an OBS feel to it,
We have seen during, I think, November or December, and this was really
I am so sorry, you guys.
good for us. I mean,
that was my
we were
cat.
watching you, and we were looking at you and saying, "Wow, they're strong." So it gave us some power,
exactly.
some courage.
A live chat feed would be nice.
To fight in our own country. So
that.
I would say to the British people, sorry, I would say to you, just do the same. So now we are giving you a bit of strength.
I know.
So now you have to fight against this project.
That was
Can I ask you what you
She's
think?
a brat.
How these
Well, I wanna
protests make
change
Macron
this.
look on the international
Make it look
stage?
smaller.
Sorry?
No.
How do these protests make Macron look on the international stage?
Like a dictator, I think. I've seen that the Financial Times
Either way, my
said
face is
that
blocked.
France was the most developed country. No, the developed country looking the most to a dictator. I don't know the word dictatorship. So it's quite right. This is not normal that you can't see. You can't just sit here. You have the police that is coming, and just saying to the people, you have to leave. This is not normal. We should be able to protest. And during the French Revolution, for the first republic we made, we had a constitution that allowed the right to make a revolution, which was a really nice constitution. So it was said when the government is against the people and oppressing the people, you have the right to the insurrection. That was in the constitution. Okay, so
He just said you have the right to an insurrection. That's in their constitution. Damn. Do you think he's a January 6th supporter? I have one from like 3 days ago. It's Amy, but it was, I think there was like an interview in here that was really, really good, talking about France is furious. Let's see this one.
France, where unions say to 64 without giving the French parliament a chance to vote on the plan. On Monday, Macron survived a vote of no confidence by just 9 votes. In Bordeaux on Thursday, the town hall was set on fire. And in Paris, police fired tear gas at protesters who included transportation workers, garbage collectors, teachers, students, and more.
We're here today because it's out of the question to once again raise the retirement age. You have to understand that some people work in difficult conditions, and today these people are told that not only do they have to work longer, but also nothing prevents the government in the future to restart this type of bill. It's time for them to understand that people also want to enjoy their lives. We're not here to die on the job. We're here to be able to enjoy life one day too.
As protests continue, a visit by British King Charles to France has just been postponed. Striking workers had said they'd refuse to roll out the red carpet for him. France's 8 largest unions have called another nationwide protest for this Tuesday. For more, we go to Marseille, France, to speak with the journalist Cole Stangler, whose guest essay in the New York Times today is headlined, "France is furious. Welcome back to Democracy Now!, Cole. Can you describe the level of mass protest and disgust in the streets right now throughout France, and talk about how this was pushed through?
Yeah, so I think there's really two things going on here. If you want to simplify it, as you were just explaining, you have on the one hand this pension reform that's extremely unpopular just on itself, on the merits. Polls show about anywhere from 2/3 to 7 out of 10 French people have opposed this reform from the very beginning. So going back to January, at the very first protest that we saw, they see it as unfair, hurting the least well-off in French society, disproportionately hurting manual workers, hurting women. So a lot of opposition to the reform itself going on now for 2 months. We've had this wave of mobilization, wave of strikes. And then, as you were mentioning, what has sort of energized the movement further is the way that the government has gotten this reform done, the way they've gotten it across the finish line. Last Friday, there was supposed to be a vote in the National Assembly on this unpopular bill. The government, when they realized they didn't have the votes to actually get it approved in the National Assembly, deployed this constitutional measure that allows them to approve the bill without a vote in Parliament. And so then on Monday, Macron survived this motion of no confidence. So in theory, this bill is now going to be taking effect. There's a couple of ways to perhaps block it, which we can maybe get into. But that the way the government has carried out this reform, I think, has given the movement new life. It's why unions have called for another day of mobilization on Thursday, and it's why we have another one set up next week, because people see that as really unfair. Not only is the government trying to do this pension reform that people see as fundamentally unfair, but they're ignoring historically large protests, even by French standards. They're ignoring the opinion polls. They're ignoring moderate labor unions that have said, let's negotiate something. And so all of this is fueling this movement. And right now, it feels very similar to
there you
the
go.
Yellow
There's the
Vest
guillotine.
movement back in late 2018, early 2019, where you have this government that it doesn't seem to understand the anger that it's unleashed.
So can you talk about the ways where it's possible this would be rolled back, Cole?
Yeah, so there's a precedent that a lot of people have in their minds, which is the 2006 youth employment contract. At the time, you had mass mobilization from student unions, from labor unions to oppose this reform. The National Assembly actually passed this bill in February 2006. The movement continued, and then a couple months later, the prime minister, under the guidance of then President Jacques Chirac, thought maybe this was not the best time to be approving this extremely polarizing, unpopular law that was creating mass protests. And so the government actually did not apply the law that had been passed, and they actually then the National Assembly passed a law repealing it. So that's one method, that's one route, and that's why we have protests that are continuing. It's why we have unions that are saying, this isn't over yet, trying to give the government a sort of exit ramp if they wanted to de-escalate things. That's one route.
Yeah, you're right, Desert. Yeah, the U.S. would be paralyzed with obliviousness if the Congress went to raise the Social Security age. You're absolutely right. Absolutely.
The other route, the most significant route, would be the French Constitutional Council, the equivalent, rough equivalent of the Supreme Court, examining this law and deciding to invalidate parts or all of the bill. There's a lot of questions over that specific measure that the government has deployed, again, to get this bill across the finish line, Article 49.3 of the French Constitution. Critics say that it wasn't really meant for a reform of this nature. The government attached this massive pension reform to a very particular budget bill. And so there's a sort of technical argument to be made that this article was applied inappropriately. And the Constitutional Council will be meeting as well amid this upheaval, amid these mass protests that, as you mentioned, are not dying out. We have another wave scheduled for next week.
Mm-hmm.
And who is supporting the president in this? I mean, clearly, overwhelmingly, the population is against this.
Emmanuel Macron has a base of voters that's very real. I don't want to, we shouldn't forget that. The Macronist base tends to be wealthier. They tend to be older voters. They tend to vote more as well. We saw this in the legislative elections last summer. So you have a small chunk of the French population, about a third, according to polls, that supports this reform. But but they're really in the minority. And I think if we're looking ahead to sort of who's going to benefit from this, I think it's important to stress as well that, if you look at France from abroad, there's often a tendency to look at simply Emmanuel Macron, the president, and then his opposition on the far right, so represented by Marine Le Pen. It should be stressed that Le Pen and the National Rally have played effectively no role in this protest movement. The movement is led by labor unions, going from moderate labor unions to more militant left-wing labor unions, and it's being led by the parties of the left. I think it's an important point to stress here. People that sort of expected or thought that maybe the French left was dead, or that labor unions in France couldn't mobilize anymore, have been proven wrong by this movement. You have a mass movement that's being led by labor that has shown it continues to have this sort of cultural appeal, this sort of power that to mobilize the French workforce.
Well, Cole Stangler, I want to thank you so much for being with us. Paris-based journalist.
Yeah, that's true, Ed. The difference between France and the U.S. is the U.S. cops have more guns and qualified immunity. Yep, absolutely. You are correct. The government that doesn't understand the anger it has unleashed. Yeah, France. Right. I know. France is awesome. I wish, you have to look at it at the size of them too. Like, America is so enormous that you can, I kind of use like as reference, like the Dakota Access Pipelines. I think there was like up to 2 to 3 million people there, and it barely made the news. It still didn't change anything. So, we can have a or like the Women's March even too, like millions and millions and millions of people, and nothing even got changed. So, it's crazy having a big country like this, because you can have an entire protest with millions of people in one area, and you just go to another state and they have no idea what's going on. But in France, because it's small, or like the UK or England, like, because it's small, you have a huge millions of people protesting that they're definitely going to notice for sure. So that's the only thing that sucks, is the size of America makes everything so easy to just not think about other things that are happening in the country. That's why we need people like, like us, like independent news stuff, like you guys, like Chicago Corner, you, Ed over there, and Jerry over there, like, just covering the local stuff too. So, because sometimes even locally, you don't even know what's going on in your own town, especially in a big place like Chicago, can definitely, not even realize that there's even a protest going on the other side of town. So having people like you that are letting people in the local area know too is super, super, super important. So I know I can't wait till the day that we all kind of, the human collective conscious kind of all snaps into the same place, and we're all become like France and just say, fuck this, we cannot handle this. I recently watched Waco on Netflix. That shit was nuts. Like, of course, yes, it was a cult, definitely a cult, horrible people, things like that, like horrible leader, misled humans in there. But man, just the way that the police were treating them, you kind of, after a while, you kind of were like on the side of the people in Waco that were standing off against the cops. Yeah, it was crazy. So, and then do you guys see recently too, like sorry, I'm like sidetracking on the Waco thing, because I just watched it. Trump just went to Waco for one of his campaign things, and like so many people were there. There was a lot of people there to see him get off the airplane and stuff. So that was crazy, like to watch. I spent like an entire day this weekend watching the entire thing, series of the Waco incident, and then all of a sudden, like, I heard Trump was going to Waco for one of his campaign things. I was like, holy crap, that's nuts. So let's see. The Women's March was lame. It never had any kind of agenda other than hating Trump. That's what a lot of problems with things, and in like 2016 to 2019, a lot of things that kind of went downhill with them. Like, because Indivisible was so good at first. Like, we were supposed to do things against our politicians, or not our congressmen. So like our congressperson, in our district, like, the House representative, the one underneath the Senate, and that goes to, it's like the lowest of the House, but it's like the most local. And that's how Indivisibles got started. But like, I'd say about 5 or 6 months into it, I just caught myself going out and down into San Bernardino with other Indivisible leaders protesting that Trump showed his taxes, and it got too much. Yeah, it turned into like this anti-Trump thing. Even us Indivisible leaders of our general district area were being told by the higher ups at Indivisibles kind of like what to do after a while. They were like, you guys need to protest for this and you need to protest against Trump for that. And it just ended up going from like what I really enjoyed, the whole like localized thing, messing with our local congressperson, to being anti-Trump. And it was horrible. It was just ridiculous. I can't believe I was so excited that Rachel Maddow covered my shit. Like I was just, oh my God, I was such a shit lib back then, but I thought I was doing good because I was out protesting and stuff. But yeah, as soon as I caught myself holding a sign saying Trump show your taxes, I kind of had that realization of like, oh shit, yeah, I'm getting into the things that I don't want to get into, and
dragging your husband through it.
Yeah, dragging my entire family through it. It was horrible. It was bad. So glad I got myself out of the shit livery for sure. But that's the problem too. Yeah, like it's a lot of these protests and stuff are just virtue signaling. Like there's no call to action for an afterwards. It's just like, oh, here, look at us, we're doing something now, and then that's it. That's all you hear about it. It's all virtue signaling. Sucks. So the George Floyd protest had impact because it was persistent. Yeah, I mean, but look at what happened out of it. As soon as people, like the whole George Floyd, Black Lives Matter, that thing was like incredible how amazing it was. As soon as people were going around saying defund the police, the elites were like, nah, we ain't having none of this, y'all are bad, we're done with you. Like that was it. And then so like that was the split of it, that we were about defunding the police. I mean, not really even just truly defunding it. It was more like taking that money and reallocating it to better places, or giving them the training that they needed instead of just throwing money at them, and they just like, they heard the defund part, and then that was the end of that. Like that just kind of killed off the entire movement, which was crap. So yeah, it's always wording that usually ends things like that. The Reign of Terror started in 1793. The cotton gin was invented in 1793. Jesus Christ. Right. The North American colonies in the Great Britain fought the War of Independence from 1775 to 1783. Uranus was discovered in 1781. The French Revolution began in 1789. Wow. Well, look at you going off. Like history major over here. Pluto entered Aquarius last week. All right. What's up, Peter is my first name. After the attending and observing the media's non-reporting of the Washington, D.C. anti-war rallies in the early 2000s, I began to think instead of marching on Washington, we should organize walks to D.C. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not from the East Coast, so I don't know the difference between Washington and then the D.C. part. I thought D.C., I know Washington's a state, and then you've got Washington, D.C., where the White House and everything is. So I don't know the difference. But yeah, I mean, whatever has to get done. I mean, the thing is with marching and protests and stuff, there's usually no call to action afterwards to get things done. So like, locally, if you want to get things done, your best option is to literally bug the shit out of your representative every day, calling them to the point where everybody in the office and your congressperson's office knows who you are and knows that you're going to be calling every day, just so that that congressperson, whoever your congressperson is, knows what your troubles are as their constituents. And that's pretty much your best shot, other than voting. Because nobody after protests have any kind of call to action afterwards. And like I just said, your only best bet afterwards is usually just to bug the shit out of your representative. And most of the time they don't even listen to you. So yeah, you just got to keep bugging them and bugging them and bugging them and hope for one day that they answer you back. Like the only time that my congressperson ever answered me back was, I think it was like right as soon as Trump came in office, and I wrote my representative to end NAFTA or something like that. One of those trade, I think it was the NAFTA, the North Atlantic Federal whatever trade agreement or something like that. And my congressperson is Republican, so he was for it because Trump was obviously getting rid of it as well or something. So he was, for getting rid of it as well. And so I was for getting rid of it. I think a lot of us were. So I got like this really nice letter back seal with a seal and like really pretty typed up, all this other really pretty letter from my congressperson saying that that's exactly what he's going to do. And that's the only time that your congressperson or your representative ever really gets a hold of you back on things that you write to them, is if it's something that they agree with. Like when I was in high school, I had a project I had to do where we had to write representatives. We had to write 3 people in office about something that we cared about really, really, really much. So I did Barbara Boxer and Dianne Feinstein. I wrote to them about offshore oil drilling. And then I was going to I did write to him, President Bush at the time. And I was going to write to him to tell him that I was against the wars. Like I wasn't for the war. It was like right after 9/11. It was like 2003, I think it was. So I was writing to him. I was going to say, I'm not for it. My aunt, who I was living with, who had custody of me, worked on the Air Force base out in town. That's the school that I was going to, was on an Air Force base. My aunt is very, very militarized, very conservative, very pro-wars, super all like that. And she kind of talked me in to like being okay with the war while I was writing to President Bush. So I kind of like did a mixture of like, look, I'm not okay with war, but if this is something that you want to do as a president and you think that this is something that is okay, then, I have no choice but to trust you because you're the leader of our country and I respect you and I trust that you're going to make the right decisions. And so I sent it off and I got a letter back because it was a good thing. Like, hey, I agree with you, Bush, keep going on with the war. Because my aunt told me to do that. I got a letter back from Bush that was all like printed and has like the pretty seal, and then it was a picture of Bush and his wife where they had hand signatured it. But then any other time where I'd write my representative on things that I don't agree with the things that they're doing, all I ever got was like, I don't call it this time, or what do you have to say to the representative you could say to me, things like that. Like it was never anything nice. So that's how they work. They're like, oh, you're on my side, let me send you this really pretty thing with a picture of me and sign it for you because I'm a famous celebrity politician. I don't know what it is, but then you say something negative that they don't like about it, then they're just going to completely just treat you like dirt. So that's how that goes. So it's really hard to like find something after protests to get people to do that's actually going to make a dent. People need to start learning how to write legislation. That's really, really hard. That is very, very, very hard to do. The jargon in that is just ridiculous. Anything else, I have no idea. Learn how to lobby. That shit sucks. That's a lot of time wasted, especially if you're not being paid to be a lobbyist. Man, you're just out there doing that shit for free. Fuck. You'd go broke. You'd starve to death. There's just no way you could live a normal life while also volunteering to lobby for the good benefits of society, because you're not going to make any money doing that. So yeah, that's hard. Drop Congress into a volcano for real. Someday I'll be mature enough to say Uranus without laughing. Lava, Jimmy, lava. Yes, that's right. Exactly. That's exactly what we can do. Just throw them all into a volcano. There's a couple of them that are active right now, so it could work. Alec and the other group are pre-writing our legislation. Yeah, exactly. And that's what I said. Like, writing legislation is probably another good one, but that's really, really hard. The jargon in that is ridiculous. They force you to use a lot of the stuff that you really don't understand. The words in there that you have to use just to be able to write legislation. Like if it's not approved by their type, their writing, which is really weird. There's some things I can't even really understand it. They won't even take the legislation. Like it has to be like by the Roberts rule of law and shit. It's nuts how like by the book politics is, and you have to, it's like learning a whole nother language. It's so fucking hard. It just makes it almost impossible to even get legislation written. So, and then when you find somebody that can write legislation, then your next step is to get it brought up on the floor during, even just the lowest possible area, politics in your area, like the assembly, the General Assembly, your assemblyman or assemblywoman, your assembly person, just getting it to the floor, like finding somebody who's, part of the meetings and then getting that bill brought up to the floor before all of the other ones. We had the Medicare for All thing for California, and we couldn't even get it brought to the floor. So they still were waiting. Like, it's been like a year and a half now. We're still waiting to get that bill onto the floor for California to get state-based Medicare. It's crazy how they're working it. It's absolutely nuts. Absolutely nuts. You don't need to use jargon. They choose to use it so you don't know what they're passing. Yeah, but they won't even take your legislation unless it has that kind of jargon in it. Like, it has to have like this Robert's Rule of Law words in it or something. It's really weird. I helped. What was it? It was like a group back in 2017, and it was a progressive group, and I think their colors were like yellow and something. And what they would do is, like, they had like a Drain the Swamp rally and stuff. So what they would do is, they were a progressive group that kind of like not tricked Republicans into going and believing what they were doing, but they kind of like were like, well, if you're going to say you're going to drain the swamp, then let's see you do it, kind of thing, and they were still progressive. And they were writing legislation for certain things. And I remember when we were in a couple of meetings, they were like, had the legislation words up on the screen, trying to pick which one they were able to use, because there was only a certain amount of like paragraph sentence beginnings that they were allowed to use to get this legislation written. It was really, really rough. It took like a whole team just to get one bill written, or like one little piece bill written. And I don't think they ever actually turned it in. So it was nuts. Amazing how complicated and intertwined the military industrial complex has its hooks on regular good people that have jobs in manufacturing related to the military. That nasty Iraq, Afghanistan sucked. Yeah, exactly. They probably make a legislation app that works like TurboTax or a script. That would be great. Maybe we can train ChatGPT to write legislation for us. Genius. Absolutely genius. A girl found, I saw it on TikTok last night. There was a girl that found like a ChatGPT that connects itself, like it can link itself to Google Sheets. And then you go into Google Sheets, add the add-on in there into it, the ChatGPT, and it doesn't use it as like Google Sheets. You can use the first box to give it a command. Like, the girl gave it a command to give her 5 women empowerment quotes, and then she hit like enter in the first box on the Google Sheets, which is like an Excel. If anybody doesn't know what Google Sheets is, it's like an Excel sheet. So she typed the command in the first box, and then just row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 just kind of had like a quote, and then the woman's name right next to it of who did the quote. So she's figured out a way to have ChatGPT in your Google Sheets, but it just uses the Google Sheets as like a Google Docs, like a document. It just kind of fills it in for you and answers what you want it to do for you. But it's kind of cool to see ChatGPT being used in a Google Sheets program. So instead of having to use like the actual websites for the ChatGPTs and stuff. So yeah, that shit's crazy. But yeah, we could probably have it write legislation. I'm glad. I'm gonna start getting into ChatGPT, because I swear every time I hear more and more about it, I'm just like, wow. Can I have ChatGPT like write out my entire show for me? I'll just give it like the bullet points on my Google Docs of what I want to talk about that day, and then it can just like type up like an intro, me talking through the video, and then like a little talking outro for it. That would be awesome. That would be so cool. What else do we have? Man, all the rest of the stuff that I have is like drama. It's all drama. Oh, you know what? Okay. I do, because it is the title of the video, so we might as well do it. About Anna Kasperian talking about birthing person. So I have 2 videos because this is actually kind of interesting, the thing that I found about this. So Anna wrote a tweet. I know you guys all know about it, about not calling me a birthing person, which, hello, I'm a birthing person. And so I think that Hill talked about it a little bit, which I really appreciated the way that they were talking about it, but I'm not going to show the whole thing on this because there's some really interesting stuff that I found. All right. Let's watch this really quick.
A woman. Please don't ever refer to me as a person with a uterus, birthing person, or a person who menstruates. How do people not realize how degrading this is? You can support the transgender community without doing this. SHIT.
Yeah, I think she speaks for a lot of people when she says that. The terms birthing person and people who menstruate and all that crap I think they're just terrible ways to refer to people. I don't like them at all. What? You're looking at me like you're going to push back.
Well, here's the issue. If it is, of course, everybody's right to not want to be referred to those terms. I personally,
they're so clinical.
I personally have never been referred to by any of those terms. So it strikes me as a little odd to kind of extemporaneously want to declare to the world what you don't want to be called when no one apparently is calling you that.
No one. It was in the Biden budget, used birthing people.
Again, I don't know why I would be triggered by something that is said in a budget document that I have not read and will never read. But look, if Anna Kasperian doesn't want to be called that, that's her right. I think the question becomes, we all have a lot of preferences, stated preferences in the world that we don't go on Twitter to announce to large audiences or really make a part of our personal identity.
What do you mean? Of course we do. That's what Twitter's for.
No, I have 1,000,001 opinions that are nobody's business, and if I state them out loud, it's because I have a political agenda, frankly, that I'm trying to address. And I think that the reason that Anna Kasperian is getting pushback, whether or not I would characterize it as a transphobic statement, is a different question, and it's frankly not really up to me to weigh in on that. But the reason that people are expressing pushback is because they're wondering why, when so much energy is being devoted by the right to passing actual legislation that prevents trans people from getting access to medical care for living their lives the way that they want to do.
All right, Ed, good to see you. Be safe today. Thanks for coming by.
Center their own self and say that the issue here that should draw some degree of focus is whether on some budgetary document somewhere or some healthcare form somewhere, a term is used that I personally just don't like.
I don't agree with that. You can be upset about a lot of different things at once. Right. If all you do is inveigh against the terminology or something, then maybe one would conclude that that's all you care about. But I don't watch the Young Turks regularly enough to know, but I'm sure Anna and the other hosts have probably criticized a lot of Republican measures, including the ones you're talking about that I myself have criticized.
Yeah,
it's
maybe
okay to criticize them and also say, but look, the terms birthing person and all the rest are pretty are not great terms. A lot of people don't like them. I see why people don't like them. I think they're very clinical and very
oh my God, a clinical term. Oh no, it's hurting me. I'm like melting like the Wicked Witch. Look, she cannot like it. And other people can think it's stupid to prioritize hand-wringing. Look, here's
are we supposed to empower people to be referred to as the way they want to be referred to? And lots of women are saying we want to be referred to as women.
That's exactly what I was going to say. This is deeply hypocritical because there are women who have There are women who are saying, I want to fight for the right to be referred to by my chosen name, not my dead name, to be called, to have used terms like cis and trans, to use terms like birthing woman, because I am someone who maybe is a cis woman, but postmenopausal or pre-menstruation, or, you know, there are words that are invented to cover real people who exist, including people who no longer identify as women, but who can biologically give birth because they were born.
If they no longer identify as women, we call them trans men. Right. We have this all worked out.
And sometimes, I'm sorry, this is like so niche that it's ridiculous that this is such a big part of the national conversation, but sometimes trans men get pregnant and they prefer to be called birthing women. And I don't, when someone like Anna Kasperian tweets something like this, it is not just what her personal preference is. It implicates whether or not the birthing person, the trans man who is giving birth, has the right to want to be called that. Yes, a clinical term in a clinical setting like the hospital where he's trying to give birth. Now, you can think that that person is dumb, that trans men shouldn't exist, that trans men shouldn't give birth.
I'm not saying any of those things.
I don't think that you do, but a lot of people do feel that way. And frankly, that's what's underpinning their frustration with the use of those terms. It has nothing to do with me.
I don't think inclusivity should not be about erasing people who fall into the traditional categories and who are proud to proclaim themselves as men and or women.
I think that that's
you can
fine.
Use trans men,
and I completely
trans
respect
women to describe people who fall into those categories. That's fine.
Anna Kasperian saying a term birthing person is, no one's ever going to call her a birthing person. She's a woman who was born a woman, who identifies as a woman, who's been very clear that she identifies as a woman. There's no world in which she's ever going to be somewhere.
I don't know, Harvard Medical School might describe her as such because I'm reading. They have a whole article on.
So again, the fact that
and see, that's like, I'm totally like agreeing with Bree on this whole thing. But he is right too. There, I've just recently found out like university culture. Lana X on here was talking about it last night about like university culture, how it's kind of like they're forced to use these words all the time everywhere in like the academia world. And I think that's where like Anna Kasperian is coming from, is like she's, from the academia world, so she probably hears it a lot. So I'm not like trying to, I know yesterday I was like, oh, boohoo, poor Anna. But I mean, to put her, like, to make her feelings valid, I guess, in these women's, situations, in these university cultures or academia worlds, I guess it's like they're so worried about being transphobic or homophobic that they use these words in overabundance to compensate for being afraid of being called those things. And I can see where that can probably wear some women down. But the crazy thing about this whole thing is like, Anna, I'm glad I'm not in college anymore. I would get canceled quickly. Yeah, same. Yeah, total distraction from the major issues. I agree. Wait, the problem is that the media and government is hyper-focused on obscure sexuality while ignoring the problems of the economy, war, and a million. Yeah, exactly. And that's the reason, like, I didn't even really want to talk about this kind of stuff because to me it's just drama. So I'm trying to look at it instead of like a one way or another, like, okay, everybody's feelings are validated. What do you have to say? Okay, how is a way, what now that you've all complained, what's a way to fix this? How do we fix this? Can we please, just instead of everybody yelling and canceling each other, can we figure out a way to fix this? And what was crazy, like I was just saying, what's crazy about this whole situation, okay, is that this isn't the first time that Anna and them have actually dealt with this situation. About 11 months ago, they did the whole same thing. Whoa, I have commercials. It changed my, okay. Here at TYT, we recently got in. So TYT did a video about 11 months ago about how, when, and if we should use the term birthing people. So this was actually brought up 11 months ago on their show. Here, look, let me show you guys. Look, see? Right here, 11 months ago. All right, so they've talked about this before. So the fact that Anna just keeps bringing it up, maybe that nobody is listening, and it just continued since the last 11 months. But there was some really good stuff in here that this woman, this trans person, I think they're they, them, that they said. So here's something that happened 11 months ago with TYT and Anna. Let me bring it up without the little intro. Okay.
Let's watch. I'm speculating that she doesn't want to say mothers because mothers is gendered and she's worried about offending birthing people. Like birthing people, really? Come on. For me, it's not even like, oh, I don't want to be inclusive and I don't want to think of, transgender people. It's the phrasing, like, it just makes you sound like a weird object that like, you're a vessel and nothing more. Like birthing people just sounds weird. Like if I were pregnant and someone referred to me as a birthing person, I would feel like, why are you calling me that? You know what I'm saying? Like,
it's gonna drive everyone away from you. And it's gonna lead to a situation where it's harder to win those rights that we're all fighting for rather than easier to win.
So let me show you the tweet that started that whole controversy in the first place, and then I'll bring in Sandy, talk about.
So here's the tweet that started it all off with this 11 months ago. Urgency of this moment is clear. Mortality rates of birthing people are too high, and babies born to Black and Puerto Rican mothers in the city are 3 times more likely to die in the first year of life than babies born in non-Hispanic white birthing people. So he's just commenting of the fact that people of color have a higher mortality rate, birthing mortality rate than white people do. That's all. And it's including birthing people, because there are trans men that still have uteruses that are giving birth to this day. So that's why it's the medical term that they're kind of, throwing out there. It's gonna, like this person right here that's in this video later on in a minute gonna say, when they come up with these scientific terms, it is messy, it is a little flubbed up, and that's why trends of terms do come about, is because a couple of messy ones come and then they finally find the term that everyone can agree on, and that's the term that they go along with. It's not using the term birthing people or birthing person, at least in their perspective, in the LGBTQ community, their perspective is not to diminish us of being a woman. It's not to take away the term woman for us. It's to include and add more people. So by using birthing person, you're not taking away us as a woman. Like what Brandy is saying right here. I really, really like this. Dr. Jones stated that they do not refer to cis women when specifically referring to a cis woman. It's when they're referring to a large group of people that could include trans men or trans women in there as well, or trans men that still have uteruses. And that's what they're trying to do. It's not like they're trying to take away from being a woman by adding birthing people. It's just adding a group into women that can now give birth, because there are trans men that can give birth still. So yeah, totally. I mean, and I'm not trying to diminish Anna's feelings either, because I still want her to feel validated. Okay, this is obviously, there's something going wrong. It could be your privilege, I don't know. It could possibly be her privilege. It definitely possibly could. But us as regular people, we're not in the academia world. We're not in the university culture. So we don't understand what's going on in there. So they could be dealing, with a lot of stuff. I am in my own little bubble. I sit in my home all day with my family. I don't go out into the streets and see what's going on out there in the world for all these young kids too nowadays, with all these words that are coming out. It could feel overwhelming. I don't want to put these kids' feelings out of the conversation. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And non-binary people can have babies. That's right. Absolutely. Didn't even think about that. Thank you. There's absolutely zero science behind any of this. I don't need science to tell my trans man friend who wants to have a baby that he's not a birthing person. This is just all cultural stuff. It's all drama. Like I said, so I'm just trying to find a way where everybody's feelings are validated and there's a conclusion and a solution to all of this, instead of this infighting, which brings more distraction to the bigger problem. And if it's lack of science that somebody wants to be called a birthing person to add themselves to the conversation of giving birth, and they don't want to be considered as women because they're trans men, then their feelings are just as valid as Anna Kasperian's not wanting to be called a birthing person. Everybody has a feelings. Everybody's feelings is validated. And I don't think that there needs to be science behind making somebody's feelings be validated. I'm just trying to look at it in like a humanistic point of view that cares about other people. And I just kind of, with this video, wanted to show, like, Anna has dealt with this before. So there's got to be something there. Either she didn't listen during this or didn't watch this video when she got interviewed, because it was only Chink interviewing her or interviewing this person. Either she didn't listen, or it's just continued and it's gotten worse and she is really getting tired of it. I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I'm just trying to make everybody's feelings validated. I know. Okay, you're not hating that. Okay, good. Thank you. I'm like trying to make everybody happy in this situation without hurting any feelings. Cause yesterday I was just like, oh, poor boohoo, poor Anna, you know, and then I thought about it. I was like, this is wrong. I shouldn't think about this. She's still a human being. Like I might not like her at all. And I might think she's, you know, she's a stuck up snob who is super full of herself and shit, but she's still a human being with emotions and valid feelings. So what I like I was just saying though, I wanted to show what this person said in the interview that they dealt with
people
9
All
months,
right,
11
now,
months ago.
to talk with us about it is Sandy Lovas. She's a contributor for us at Rebel Headquarters. She's from Canada, a longtime TYT viewer as well, and our first international contributor, which I like a lot. Sandy, great to have you on.
Hi, it's great to meet you.
All right, wonderful. So Sandy, go ahead, kick my ass. What did I do wrong? Tell me what the issue is.
So right now, people who are non-binary, people who are trans men are coming out more and more. And there's actually, it's not that there's an increase in people who identify as this, it's just that they're becoming more comfortable. Like right now, the recent stat is about 20% of Gen Zs actually feel like they are part of the LGBTQ community. So what's happening is we're trying to find new language to help include everyone. I myself am non-binary. So as Anna says that she wouldn't want to be referred to as a birthing person, well, I don't want to be referred to as mother, should I have a child. So it's a matter of trying to find a word that includes everyone who's capable of having children, like actually being pregnant, but includes everyone, including people who would identify as mother. It's the same as like you have brother, sister, sibling, mother, father, parent, husband, wife, spouse. You have the gender neutral terms. It doesn't replace any of the other terms, but it includes everyone, even people who don't necessarily identify as that gender.
Okay, so that's great. And I love this because this is not a debate, this is a discussion, so we all understand each other, right? So Sandy, first of all, so I get the sense of the activists in the community, right? So they're not, but again, if I get it wrong, tell me, okay? So they're not saying that we should call all mothers birthing people. They're saying if they want to be referred to as birthing people, then refer to them that way. Is that right?
Correct. We're not saying we're going to replace the word mother. And even the term birthing person or birthing people isn't even settled on. Personally, I use childbearer because again, it's new language, it's going to be clumsy. The woman who tweeted that out, you know, she should have been consistent throughout.
Childbearer, there's another good one. You know, I think that's another one that we've heard for a really long time too, you childbearer. So like I was just saying, like, cause I watched this last night, you know, they're just coming up with the term right now. It's just being invented. So it's going to be clumsy. It's going to be messy until we find the term that we want to use. So, you know, having people like Anna out in the Twitter world screaming that she doesn't like it. I mean, okay, congratulations. You don't like it. Let's find a different term. Because obviously birthing people is making some women feel like they're being replaced as a woman. So we've got to find a new way. It's not like I don't feel like, you know, the people in the medical field that are trying to come up with a label for this is doing anything that hurts women. I don't think that it's doing it to negate women or to replace women. I feel like it's just adding to the fact of there's these group of people that can now birth, and some of them don't identify as a woman anymore. So we have to, you know, there you go. Bun ovens. I got nothing. Bun ovens. Yeah. You know, I got a bun in my oven. You know, it's just, we got to figure out a general term that everybody can agree on. That way we can all be okay with it. Right now, you know, like I always say before, we've been living on such a, like on one side of the pendulum of thought process for so long that, you know, right now we're just kind of beating the wall, trying to hit that pendulum as hard as we can to the other side. And there's going to be pushback. So that pendulum's going to go back, and then it's going to go forward, and then it's going to go back, and then it's going to go forward until it finds this happy medium where everybody's like, okay, I can deal with that. That's all right. You know, I can still be called a woman and, you know, still feel like a woman, while trans men and non-binary people who can give birth can be added into this, you know, conclusion or into this whole thing. So yeah. Yeah, and then there's definitely going to be some pushback too. I can already feel it from like the really religious people too. Like, you know, only women, God says only women can have children. So I feel like, you know, something's probably, you know, this is very, very minor compared to what it could be. So definitely distractions, like I was saying. But I've got 10 more minutes left in my show and I'm running out of things to do. So we dealing with the drama, and at least I'm not doing it like everybody else. I don't know what everybody else has really said about it. I heard that people were against Anna. I heard that, you know, the right wing has been for Anna. So I'm kind of in that middle ground. I don't want to be a part of the drama. I don't really care. This is a super, super big distraction. But also at the same time, everybody's feelings are valid and we need to come up with a conclusion instead of continuing to argue and fight about it, because there are bigger things that we can be, discussing than, the terms. Let science come up with the term. Let us hash it out and figure out if we agree with it or not. Everybody in, LGBTQ plus cis all agree and hash it out and talk about it in an adult manner, not kind of like, throwing it out there like, obviously her feelings are valid. Jeez, I keep having to remind myself that, yes, if she felt like she was being diminished as a woman because of these terms, let's find different terms till everybody agrees. Even though everybody's not going to agree because we're all humans, there's got to be some kind of, how do the kids nowadays come up with these terms? How did we as teenagers come up with terms that the grownups didn't understand that we thought was cool? Like that's rad, or that's tubular, that's awesome, like we all as kids started to agree and assume that, that was the words to use. So we've got to just figure out, like in this LGBTQ birthing space, we just have to figure out the same thing, where we're all like, okay, that's the term and we're all cool with it. So yeah. You didn't mention Anna or show her tweet. I don't even have the tweet. So
But when new
I just talked about it.
starts, it's always going to be sounding clumsy.
I do want to show this though, because I did want to show the fact that Anna and Cenk, even though Anna's talking about this and this is starting to get big again, she has dealt with this before. She should at least understand the thought process of the medical LGBTQ community, what they're trying to do, instead of feeling like, she's being attacked. Like, okay, yes, your feelings are valid, but here, this is what they're trying to do and trying to say. They're not trying to hurt your feelings. They're not trying to take away from you. They're trying to add to, so that way more people can feel included.
The right will never buy into it because they wouldn't no matter what. And the way to get people in the center and the left to actually buy into it is to use it and normalize it.
Tech, yeah.
Because we've been through these transformations in language before. We used to only ever say police men, and then it changed to women, police women. But then that was getting confusing because you didn't know which gender they were, you were misgendering, so it became police officer. So it's a matter of trying to find a balance of words that don't necessarily sound clumsy, something that we can all kind of come in on and agree with in the future. But since it is still newer terms, newer language coming up, there is no consensus yet on what those words should be.
So Sandy, as we clarified in another show after that one, there's no issue with us referring to people in the way that they want to be referred, right? So if somebody wants to be referred to as a birthing person or a childbearer as opposed to a mother, I have no issue with that at all, right? But in the context of that tweet, Sandy, it seemed like she was referring to it as a general term for all mothers. And that's where I would say.
But it didn't. That tweet didn't feel like that to me.
Well, politically.
I wish Anna would have talked to this person on here. That way she could have, gotten a little bit of whatever she needed to as well during this interview. But yeah.
Not do that. I think that it puts people off. They're confused by it. And especially conservatives, I mean, you're never gonna get conservatives anyway, but maybe conservative independents, right? They're scared of change, right? And all of a sudden when they hear something so foreign to them, they go, oh, hell no, I'm not, nobody's gonna call me a birthing person, I'm a mother, right? And especially on an issue like that. So do you see what I'm saying by the critique of that tweet that refers to mothers in general as birthing people?
Yes, I do, and I understand what you were trying to say in it. It's just in that particular clip, you came across as very dismissive, like saying for the 9 people it's going to include, is it really worth this? But if you look even at your own audience here on TYT, like 7% of adults are identifying LGBTQ+. And since this is a left-leaning network, that percentage watching this is going to be even higher. So if you have, let's say 10% of your audience is LGBTQ+, and a large portion of them are people who are capable of having babies, but don't identify as a woman, it really feels like you just kind of dismiss that whole part of us. Because I do agree right now, the right is using us as a distraction. But it's kind of like throwing a bomb into a crowd so that they can go rob the bank. There are people who are losing their jobs, suffering, that are under constant threat, being harassed. And now children who are transgender are literally being erased because of this legislations that are going through. This is going to cause a higher suicide rate among them because it doesn't matter how many hugs you can give them, how many words that you can tell them. They are being taken apart bit by bit with this legislation, and it's devastating.
So Sandy, here's what I'm worried about. So first of all, there's a difference between the LGBTQ community. So you say it's up to 20% now in Gen Z. I'm not remotely surprised by that. And I've actually been saying on the show for nearly 20 years, the right wing is not necessarily wrong about the culture wars in that they say, oh my God, if you just allowed people to be gay, a lot more people would be gay. And I always said, yeah, that's true, right? But why are we stopping them from their own true nature? What a weird thing to say. Like don't let them be what they really, really want to be. So it would seem to be against freedom. So I'm perfectly aware of the spectrum, and that if you, the more freedom that we have, of course, more people in the spectrum will be part of the LGBTQ plus community, right? So, but people who are childbearing but don't want to be referred to as mothers, that is not 20%. That is not 7%. That is a very, very small number. Okay, now I understand what you're saying about how my language sounded dismissive, right? And I don't want to be that. But Sandy, if we start calling all mothers birthing people to take into account the feelings of that very, very, very small number, we're going to do more damage to the LGBTQ community, because it's going to turn off so many people that, oh, that's it. Well, then I'm not left, because there's no way anybody's going to call me a birthing person. But
again, we're not trying to erase the word mother. We're just trying to add a term that's more inclusive.
Yeah, and
there it is right there. They're not trying to erase the word mother. They're just trying to add a term that is inclusive, and that's all it is. Is just, yes, your feel. I'm like on repeat right now. I'm sorry. Yes, Anna, your feelings are validated. Yes, these people's feelings are validated. It's an inclusion thing. We just all need to come up with a general consensus of what is okay, so that way certain people don't feel excluded, because I think in her mind, all they really want to do is just feel included in the arena, of the world. So would anyone be talking about this if the word child bearer had been used in the legislation instead of nomenclature like birthing person? Maybe, I know that child bearer is definitely a term that has been used for a really long time. So maybe for the people, the women that aren't really comfortable with the word birthing person, maybe child bearer is a little bit better to use. I know I've personally heard child bearer before numerous times. So yeah, possibly. I mean, maybe retweet Anna and say, is child bearer a little bit more, tolerable for you? Can you handle, what maybe retweet her and say, ask her, what words would you like to put in the arena of being used, like if you can imagine a trans man who still has a uterus and is pregnant, or a non-binary person, and they want to be known, as a birth-giving kind of person, a child bearer, but they aren't women. What would you like, what would you like the term to be? Maybe ask her, maybe see if she's got something in her head, and then we can all, hash it out and come into consensus on whether or not we like that term or not, get her involved in the process of, and get women in general involved in this process of inclusion instead of, all of that. I don't know. I'm not like a lot of the other, I hate that because it sounds like a pick me girl thing, but like, there are women that feel like certain things, they're being put down. I'm like a person that I don't care. Like I don't want to be a part of the drama. Whatever you guys want to do, I'm just here along for the ride. I'll say whatever you guys want to say when it comes to the LGBTQ terms and stuff like that. So I'm just very anti. Yeah, the term thing is just not a big deal. There's a lot of things going on. I mean, we were just watching a train derailment today. We were watching France protesting. Mississippi had a tornado where the town got completely demolished. And then we've got Anna Kasperian over here fighting about the word birthing people and bringing that a part of the conversation recently. So yeah, you're right. It's a distraction. I hate drama stuff. You're blocked by Anna on Twitter. That's awesome. Oh, you're lucky. I'm not blocked by anyone. Everybody gets blocked all the time by certain things, and I'm just like, I don't even say anything to get blocked because I'm a good girl and I just keep my mouth shut. So yeah. All right, you guys, I am done, and I gotta start getting ready for my interview over at Extra Booyah today. So go and subscribe to that channel if you are not. Extra Booyah with 2 L's, so BULLA. Oh my God, lady, stop. I will be on there today. I think it's at 5 p.m. Pacific time, so that would be 8 p.m. Eastern. Lady, come here. You're so mean. Jesus. No. You mutants. 8 p.m. Eastern, so that's 5 p.m. Pacific. Hi. Good Lord. Okay, so I will be on that show tonight. Go and check that out. And then I will be back on here tomorrow at 1 p.m. Pacific, at 4 p.m. Eastern, I think that is. I'm so not used to Eastern time. 7 Central, right? With Anna. Thank you. Yes, there it is. So there's the video. Click the notify me button so that way when it goes on, you will be notified. Subscribe over to Extra Booyah. And his channel tonight. He does awesome shows. He's got our secret show on Saturday night that me and him do together. A lot of fucking fun. We just talk about random stuff, usually show like Chicken City video, just random stuff. It's usually just random. There's like literally no anything to it. And then Sundays, he's just started recently his Mundus Ultra channel, which he talks about all the crazy conspiracy theories all over the world, all the crazy weird stuff, aliens, anything you can think of. He's just getting started on it. So you guys go give him a shout out. Or go give him a follow. Hit the notify me button. Also, when you start following somebody, like you're going over to Extra Booyah today, there's a little bell button right next to the subscribe button. If you click on the little bell and you click on all, that'll give you notifications for every video that he puts up, and that you could do it with us too, that we put up. So that way you'll get the notifications. Usually the default one is like some or something like that. So remember when you hit the subscribe button over there to hit the little bell and hit the all button. That way you get all the notifications of every video that comes up and you won't miss anything at all. So yeah, go check that out. I will be back here tomorrow. If anyone wants to come and join and come and hang out, you are more than welcome. Just get a hold of me over on Twitter at Jimmy Saves World, which is right there over on Twitter. Say, hey, yo, I want to come on your show. I'll say yes. I'm a yes man. That's what I do. I just say yes to everything. So all right, thanks. Check out Neologism if you can. All right, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I saw that this morning too. I know I'll probably talk about that tomorrow. There was a school shooting today, or I think it was a church shooting. Some people passed away today, and the shooter was a female. I will be probably talking about that tomorrow. So hit that little bell notification so you don't miss out on tomorrow. See, I'm so horrible at self-promotion. I'm gonna get out of here before I start forgetting what to do with my hands and they just start going up for no fucking reason. All right. I love you all. Thank you all for coming. I truly appreciate you guys. And I will see you all either later on today on Warren's show or on mine tomorrow. Peace.